It's that sound every property owner dreads. A drip that turns into a gush. You run down to the basement and boom, it's an indoor swimming pool. It is an absolute nightmare. Now, your first instinct might be to just panic and grab a bucket, but we're going to show you why the single most important tool you have is actually your phone. Let's dive in.
So picture this. You're standing there, ankle deep in murky water, right in your own home. What's the very first thing you do? For most of us, it's a mad dash for every towel we own, maybe a shop vac. But here's the thing. What you can see is only a tiny fraction of the real problem. We're about to show you all the hidden dangers lurking just beneath the surface. Okay, look at this. On the left, you've got the typical gut reaction. It feels productive, right? Like you're taking charge. But now, look at the right side. That's what's actually going on. That water isn't just water. It could be a nasty soup of bacteria and viruses, and it is soaking into your drywall, your floors, creating a perfect breeding ground for mold. This isn't just a simple cleanup job. It's a potential biohazard situation.
So to really wrap our heads around this, here's our game plan for today. We're going to look at what happens right after a flood hits. We'll break down what's really in the water, explore the fascinating science of drying, check out the pros' specialized toolkit, walk through their official playbook, and finally, look at the serious long-term consequences of not getting this right.
All right, let's get right to it. The second that water shows up where it shouldn't be, a clock starts ticking. And believe me, it's ticking fast. Those first 2 days, they're absolutely everything.
Take a look at this number, 24 to 48 hours. That's it. That's the entire window you have before a water problem starts morphing into a massive mold and structural damage crisis. After 2 days, you're not just dealing with water anymore. You're fighting a full-on biological invasion inside your walls.
So, you might be wondering, who even makes the rules for this stuff? Well, it's an organization called the IICRC. You can think of them as the special forces of the restoration world. They've created a science-based playbook that certified pros follow to the letter, making sure your property isn't just dry, but truly safe.
Now, you'd think water is just, well, water, right? Nope, not even close. In the professional world, they have a system for classifying floodwater, and honestly, it's something every property owner should understand.
Think of it like a traffic light for danger. Category 1, that's your green light. It's clean water, maybe from a broken supply line. It's still a problem, but it's sanitary. Category 2 is the yellow light. We call it gray water. This is water from, say, a dishwasher, and it's got contaminants that could make you sick. But Category 3, that's black water, and that is a full-blown sirens blaring red alert.
And this is exactly why black water is so dangerous. We're talking about a toxic cocktail. It can have raw sewage, nasty bacteria like E. coli, and viruses that can cause severe illness. Plus, depending on where it came from, you could be dealing with pesticides or industrial chemicals. This is not a DIY situation. This is a job for trained professionals with the right protective gear. So, with all these dangers, how do the pros actually get a property completely and safely dry? Well, this is where things get really interesting. It's so much more than just pointing a few fans at the wet spots. The secret weapon in their arsenal is a science called psychrometrics. Now that's a mouthful, I know, but all it really means is controlling the properties of the air to basically convince the water to leave your walls, floors, and everything else. It's like a Jedi mind trick for moisture.
And this quote right here just nails it. The real goal isn't just to dry the wet carpet you can see. The real goal is to take command of the air in the entire space, making it so incredibly dry that the hidden moisture literally has no other choice but to come out and be captured.
So, how do they know if that Jedi mind trick is actually working? They measure something called grains per pound, or GPP. Think of it as a super precise humidity reading. It tells them exactly how much water vapor is in the air, so they can track their progress and know for sure when the job is done. It's pure science, no guesswork involved.
And to pull off that science, you need some serious equipment. This isn't the kind of stuff you can just go rent from the local hardware store. This is the pro-grade arsenal.
First, they have to see the invisible. See, water is sneaky. It loves to hide behind walls and creep under floors. So pros use thermal imaging cameras that show temperature differences to reveal exactly where that hidden moisture is. Then they use moisture meters to find out just how wet everything is, and other sensors to give them that crucial real-time data on the air itself. Now, we've all seen fans and dehumidifiers, but these are on a completely different level. The real workhorses are the LGR dehumidifiers you see here. These things are like moisture-sucking black holes. They are so powerful they can keep pulling water out of the air long after a normal household unit would have just given up.
But here's a critical piece of the puzzle. Just because a place looks dry doesn't mean the air is safe. It can still be full of mold spores and all sorts of other nasty particles. That's where these air scrubbers and hospital-grade disinfectants come in. They literally clean the air, making sure that when you move back in, you're breathing air that's as safe as it was before the flood.
So, we've covered the science and the specialized tools. Now let's look at how the pros put it all together into a disciplined, step-by-step process to bring a property back from the brink.
It all boils down to these 3 steps. First, they play detective. They assess the situation, mapping out where all the moisture went, and then they contain the area to stop any contaminants from spreading. Second, they go on offense, extracting all the standing water and safely removing any materials that can't be salvaged. And finally, step 3, they bring in the heavy-duty drying equipment and air purifiers, getting the place completely dry and ready for any final repairs.
So what happens if you skip some of these steps, or you try to tackle a big job yourself? Well, the consequences of cutting corners can be absolutely devastating for both your property and your wallet.
Just let this number sink in for a second. According to industry data, just 1 inch of floodwater can lead to over $25,000 in damages. Every single inch and every single hour you wait just makes that number climb higher.
And this timeline of inaction really spells it out. Within those first couple of days, like we said, mold starts to grow. Give it a week and your drywall is literally swelling and falling apart, your wood floors are warping, and if you let it go for weeks or months, you could be looking at serious structural failure, things like sagging floors and ceilings. The cost of doing it wrong is always, always higher than the cost of doing it right the first time. So when you're faced with rising water, it all comes down to a choice. You can try to handle it yourself and just hope for the best. Or you can make the call to bring in the pros who can guarantee your property and your health are protected. Because when something this important is on the line, is good enough really an option?